What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I'm going to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar, what the news is saying about Tesla, and what you should be watching for as time goes on. But before I break anything down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 6 free stocks. If you deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks plus 6 months of level 2 data. If you put in $25,000, you're guaranteed 70 free stocks plus 12 months of level 2 data, which could be very helpful for day trading. Now, the offering's in just about 2 weeks, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's talk about what's going on with Tesla and the market. Looking at Tesla, we're holding support very nicely, getting a decent close on Friday. We know Tesla dropped quite a bit before it got a bounce. Now the question is, with what Jerome Powell just said, will this cause the market to continue to push, or are we about to see something very different? Let's first talk about all this data. So what's coming out in the morning at 10 o'clock a.m., we have the factory orders coming out. This could cause some volatility, at least on Monday. But then at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the 3-month and the 6-month bill auctions coming out. This is going to be important because this data could affect treasuries. It could also affect our yields. So expect some volatility in the stock market at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But besides that, there's not really anything crazy going on with the data. It's going to be a very minor data day. When it comes to other pieces of news and other earnings that could affect the markets, we have GitLab coming out for tomorrow and very minor earnings. Then we have more retail from Dollar General to GameStop on Wednesday and the Neo for Tuesday. Nothing too crazy overall. You could just take a screenshot of this or just kind of like look at this if you want to see their earnings. For the fear and greed index, we're very greedy in the market, but we're technically not at extreme greed overall. Some indicators are at extremes, such as market momentum. Others are just at greed. And then we also have the put and call positioning at extreme greed. But there was a time where we saw this drop even lower, the ratios drop lower, and the market just continued going. So, pretty crazy stuff overall. I'll be breaking down what this means for the charts in just a few minutes. Let me just remind you guys about what I said yesterday. Yesterday, I broke down how the market just continued to pump as we have a lot of puts expiring. And we have these high puts to call ratios every Friday. So if you look at December 8th, there are a lot of puts expiring. Same thing with the next week, December 15th. Primarily puts make up the majority of options. Lots of shorting is just continuing in the markets. So we'll be watching to see how this affects Tesla and the market. I also want to note that Tesla is one of the most shorted stocks in the markets right now, and that's despite the Cybertruck coming out. The Cybertruck, in my opinion, is going to be a hit for Tesla long term, but for the short term, there are going to be a lot of hurdles that Tesla has to get past. Now, there have been some pieces of news coming out where many analysts are basically comparing the Cybertruck with Rivian and other companies out there based off their performances. We know that the Cybertruck has a lot of horsepower. It's a very durable vehicle. It's very strong. It's bulletproof, and those are some good features about it. I do have one concern about the Cybertruck, however, and that is when you look at the Cybertruck. My concern is when you look at the door. I'm not too sure about how well the door is going to be working without like an actual physical handle in like the snow, or if there's like a very thick layer of snow or a thick layer of ice that could become very difficult to open. So once again, guys, I'm sure that I know Tesla mentioned that like if there's a really thin layer of ice, you could still open the door, but I'm not too sure about like those thicker layers or if anything else happens. So that is one of my small concerns about the Cybertruck's door. But besides that, I think that it has a lot of storage space. It's very durable. It's bulletproof, which is what a lot of people love. And with FSD potentially being, involved with it, with the development of AI, I still think that the Cybertruck has so much potential. And I'm very excited about the future for it. We're going to be waiting to see how the margins look and such moving forward. But for now, like I said before, Tesla has some good things coming out. Looking at the quarter mile time, the Cybertruck beats the majority of the competitors. This is because of its power and also because of, the fact that they're comparing these with like gas powered cars too, at least for the other bottom ones. So it's very powerful. It has lots of acceleration, and it's using once again a very powerful rotor engine. So we have the triple rotor, not to mention the other one. So good stuff for Tesla, very powerful, and it's just continuing to show what it's capable of doing. And it makes me excited for what the long term is still holding, anyways. Volume on Tesla was 121 million. Once again, very close to average, nothing too bad. And if we look at more pieces of data, Wedbush is saying that Tesla is going to outperform the markets. We're also seeing them reiterate that. Price price ratio is kind of flat, but I think that this might start going up if Tesla starts to outperform. Mondays tend to be green about 53% of the time, and we tend to see more volatility during around 11 o'clock a.m. and then around 2 o'clock p.m. Watch for volatility. December is historically not the strongest of months, but November wasn't the strongest month either for Tesla this year. But I personally think that we're going to have a very strong December for Tesla and for the end of the year for the stock market now. And I think that Tesla is going to follow the trend. So I think December is going to be stronger than usual. So I'll be breaking down the charts now. Let's talk about something very important. I want to give you guys a warning, okay? There are all these people who are logical. They're intelligent retail investors, right? And those market makers, they have all this data on us. They know what we're thinking, they know what we're looking at. So when we're being logical and we say things like, oh, the market's overbought, it's been pumping and pumping and pumping, we're expecting a pullback, you're correct in a way, you're intelligent, and yet you could still be wrong because of how illogical the market could be. And that's the crazy thing about the market. And that's why I want to be very unbiased when it comes to my analysis today. On SPY, okay, the weekly technically is bullish, but we need to see if 460 could break. If we break and hold 460, this thing is going to try to push up for 467. That's going to be our next target because it still looks bullish. Now, I also want to call out that on Friday, we had so many buyers stepping in, big buy orders, that SPY not only pumped throughout Friday, but after the market closed, we saw this thing come just under 460, came very, very close to breaking it, and still looking strong with no sign of a break. So, what is my view of the market? It's going to be very simple. I'll be talking more about SPY a little later. Let me just first say one simple thing. This is the most simple analysis you need, and it's going to be very helpful. Okay, look at the pattern in the market. Okay, when the market gets these pullbacks, they're very tiny pullbacks, then we get overwhelmed by buying, right? Tiny pullback, crazy buying, tiny pullback, crazy buying. We got a small pullback from 458 all the way down to like 453. Then it just got bought right back up. So that is the trend on the market so far. If you want, okay, there to be a small pullback, watch 460. If we kind of reject off 416, fail to break it, watch 458, then we have 455 below that, where our orange trend line of support happens to be. So we could get a small little pullback. Sure, it could happen, but every time we get those tiny pullbacks, we tend to get bought right back up, and the market's going to push up even higher. Now, could this trend change? Because that's the current trend so far. Small little pullbacks and lots of buying kind of like takes over, and we just see the market continue to go higher. Or if we just break 460, we're very bullish. Now, what about the pullback? Can the market get a pullback, a bigger one? I know a lot of people say, yes, there's going to be a pullback. But here's the thing about that, okay? We need a catalyst. We need a big, bad piece of news to drag the market down because the market is powerful. It's strong. The buyers keep on overwhelming the bears. They keep squeezing them. It's because of manipulation and the things I was just mentioning. We need a bad catalyst, a big one. We need, the US's credit rating to be downgraded. We need some really bad piece of news for this to like sink down like this, to come back down to 446, our 20 EMA, or to even fill some of these gaps. We need a really bad piece of news. And at the time I am recording this video, I am not seeing any major bad piece of news, so we shouldn't assume it's going to just come out of nowhere. Okay, that's my honest view. If the bad news comes, if there's whatever is announced, something involving a war, who knows? It could happen. We could get, this sell off. Right now, I don't see it. So it makes no sense to assume we're going to tank super, super hard when this thing is just keeps on being bought back up. People who are shorting are making up the majority of the options holders. And when the crowd is thinking something, when most people are assuming the market's going to crash, it's less likely to happen that way because of trickery and manipulation. Even if you're being the most logical person ever for shorting, the market makers know what you're doing and they're going to be very tricky anyways. Okay. So I just wanted to make this point. I'll be talking more about SPY in just a few minutes. Let's talk about Tesla now. I just want to give you guys some context about what the trend is on the market, which is still to the upside. And now I'm going to start off with Tesla before I break down more stocks. Tesla's uptrending. What does that mean? We came down to our low all the way down here at 193. We're making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher low, higher high, higher low. What's next, guys? You think it's going to just collapse from here? Here's my answer. If you're bearish, we need a really bad piece of news. Okay, we need something really bad to happen. And we need to see Tesla basically lose these supports at 232 and 230. If we lose these, we have to break this trend line. This white trend line right here needs to be broken. And then we're going to turn bearish. That's going to be the bearish case if we get a really bad piece of news. If something really bad happens to the markets, that could cause Tesla to fall. But as of right now, every time we hit this trend line, this support, we keep bouncing off our trend line. We keep on holding up nicely. Secondly, I just want to add that if we get a backtest of this trend line again, they could just grab some liquidity right here in the mid 230s and launch Tesla right back up. That's like the more bullish case. And we're continuing to make higher highs and higher lows. On top of this, look at these imbalances. We have an imbalance up here on the 4-hour time frame, also on the daily at this 245 area. Hold on, let me bring this up on Weebles just to show you guys. When you look at Tesla's charts, here's what's happening with the algorithms, okay? So now, okay, I told you guys that Tesla's going to pump approaching the Cybertruck event. That happened. But then right before the Cybertruck event, we started to downtrend. I told you guys about the bearish signals. Tesla came down. And I told you, if you want to be bearish, you need to close below 230. We failed to do so thanks to Jerome Powell. So with this imbalance up here, we have an imbalance at 245. The algorithm is going to try to get us to 245 if we break 240. Okay? And then on top of that, when you zoom out, check this out. We have these imbalances up here. It's trying to get back to this high level up here in the 260s. It's trying to get up there, but it's slowly, you know, uptrending. It's happening very slowly. It's slowly getting closer to 260. I think that's what Tesla's trying to do, and it's looking bullish overall. We need a really bad piece of news to change that, and as of right now, we don't have that. So what is likely going to happen to Tesla? Once again, guys, if Tesla comes down, right, because we could still see some liquidity being grabbed. If Tesla comes down to like 235, they could grab liquidity. We need to see it bounce and break out to be bullish. If we lose 230 and we lose 232, we turn bearish. I will turn bearish on Tesla if we lose 230 and we end up holding and closing below that. I will turn bearish. I think Tesla will come down to fill the gap, but we need a bad piece of news to cause that. If we're bullish, you want to see Tesla just continue to uptrend and try to break this blue trend line. See the blue trend line of resistance we have historically, the blue line you see? We need to break above that. If we break that, Tesla's going to break out and it's going to be on its way up to 260, right? So what do I think Tesla's going to do? The most likely thing, I think that Tesla might actually come down a little bit. And as long as, because like right now, I don't have a crystal ball to tell you if there's bad news or not. I would say that right now, Tesla might come down, grab some liquidity at 235 to 236, and then bounce. And I think Tesla's going to slowly over the next few days start pushing up for 245, a little drop in balance. I think Tesla's going to, eventually try to uptrend. And I think that because Tesla is one of the most shorted stocks in the whole market, it is going to squeeze a lot of shorts. So look for a little drop in a bounce on Tesla. And could even happen intraday on Monday. I think that Tesla's going to try to continue to push up higher. What about for SPY? Am I a bull? Am I a bear? The answer is I'm actually in the middle because it depends on if we could break 460 or not. If we break 460, SPY is going to be bullish. Our next target is going to be 467 over the next 1 to 2 weeks. We have to break and hold and close above 460 to be bullish. Okay. If we reject off of this 460 area, there could be a small retracement to about 458. If we lose that 458 support, there's a risk of it coming down to 455 to grab some liquidity. And like I said earlier, the trend has been small little pullbacks just to get bought back up, small little pullback just to get bought back up. So if this trend continues, we could get a small little pullback and then just get bought right back up. And that's going to likely continue as the buyers are in control. I will turn bearish and change my mind if there's a really bad piece of news. We don't have it yet, so the chart still looks bullish overall, and we should not assume it's just going to turn bearish just because we're overbought. It's because there's so much manipulation in the markets. Okay, so I'm thinking we're going to eventually we're going to see SPY break out and break to 467 to 470 within the next few weeks. I think it's going to break out. We could see a tiny little pullback back down to 455 and then bounce, or we could just continue pushing from here. I think that it all depends on how we end up reacting to 460. We started testing it yesterday, not yesterday, on Friday during the after hours. But ultimately, the chart is still bullish overall. There's no sign of this breaking down, and we got a bullish cross on the weekly PPO. So it looks bullish overall, and we're just going to be watching it. Now, on the QQQ, this is looking less bullish than SPY, even though we have a bullish crossover. The daily chart's looking a little weaker, but there's no sign of it breaking down. Just like SPY, we need a bearish catalyst to bring the QQQ down. We need some bad news to come. We need to see, Nvidia and Apple tank. So far, we're not truly seeing that, as we're seeing those things at support. If we lose 388 on the QQQ, watch 386. If that fails us, we're going to be coming back down to 382 at this near this gap, basically. If we're bullish, you want to see this thing break past 391. If we break that, there's potential for it to go higher. As of right now, we're close to a bearish cross in the PPO, but there's no confirmation yet. So we'll just watch and see if we lose 388 on the QQQ to turn a bit more bearish. Then we have 386 to be watching for. In my opinion, it's still holding up. So I'm not going to turn too bearish or too bullish. We're still kind of range trading. So we'll just see if this thing continues to go higher. It looks like it might come down a bit and then try to break back to like 391. It's looking less strong than SPY as it's very flat. So we will see if this thing breaks out or not. But here's what I will tell you that I'm quite confident about. Whether we get some kind of pullback or not for the next week, depending on the catalysts, the overall chart is bullish because we're going to be approaching 400 by the end of the year. Okay. So could we pull back this week? Sure, it could happen. But by the end of the year, we're going back to 400. This thing is going to break out more. Just wanted to warn you guys about that, in my opinion. I still think there's more upside for the end of the year. We'll see what happens for the short term area. The QQQ is kind of flat, so we'll just have to see. Nvidia is in a very critical state because it came down to the 4-hour 200 EMA, and we're holding it quite decently thus far. Watch the support right here. If we lose 463 and we close below it, we're going to be bearish. If we bounce off this, we're going to turn bullish. In my opinion, Nvidia has a bullish divergence that has developed. Nvidia is different from the market because its bearish divergence played out. The other charts in the market had bearish divergences, but they're not looking as strong or as convincing yet because the market is continuing to uptrend. Nvidia's actually played out as we saw 500 on the chart and came all the way down to 461. But now we're developing a bullish divergence. So if we hold the red line right here, the 200 EMA on the 4-hour time frame, Nvidia could bounce and make its way up to 474. If that breaks, this imbalance is going to fill at 480. It's going to be bullish. Now, if we're bearish, you want to see it lose 463. My gut tells me it's going to be bullish, and this thing is going to hold up for some time. Maybe back test 465, then bounce and make its way up to 470, then slowly uptrend for 480 for the next few days. I think Nvidia is going to help the market hold up to some extent. Microsoft is looking a little weak thus far. If you look at the 4-hour time frame, however, not looking the strongest. I just want to mention that. We could see Microsoft cool off a bit more, retest 366, which could slow the market down a little bit. But I think Microsoft will bounce later on and still uptrend. The weekly is still not fully dead. So look for a little pullback on Microsoft. I think there's going to be a small pullback back down to the 366 area before this one bounces. This stock of all things is actually looking a bit more bearish since we have a bearish looking weekly close and it has different technicals. So this may be a little different. Don't forget for AMD, I just want to mention that we have something similar. We could see AMD retrace towards 118, then bounce. So there could be a little retracement coming looking at the weekly, but it's going to be very minor. I think ultimately it's going to break out past 133. Look for a small retracement towards 118, then a bounce, and 133 plus as time goes on. On the VIX, the weekly looks bearish, which is a bullish signal for the markets because this suggests that the VIX may get dragged down lower by the markets looking at the weekly time frame. This thing could kind of like pop a bit, then just continue lower. There's no sign of the VIX bouncing yet, so we'll just have to wait and see, but it looks bearish. As QQQ failed, it's actually getting close to a weekly bearish crossover on the PPO now, and it's not looking that great. We'll see if this thing can break out. It's a little different from the VIX. That's because of how the QQQ is performing. I think I skipped Apple. I just want to mention that Apple, of all things, is kind of flat. It looks bullish on the weekly. I think 197 is coming soon. But first, Apple could backtest 188. If we lose 188, I could turn a bit more bearish and think 186 is coming. It might test that, then bounce, and then watch 192 as resistance. It looks bullish overall. Apple still looks bullish overall. Look for a little drop and pop. We'll be watching that very carefully. On Coinbase looks bullish on the weekly, but it's very overbought. So you want to be a little careful because of how much it pumped. This pumped really hard with no downside. And it's a little different from SPY because the extent in which it pumped is just crazy. The chart looks bullish. I think it's going to eventually make its way up towards these higher levels. It looks like it wants to get closer to 168 as time goes on. It might pull back a tiny bit though, back test 125, then bounce and push up for 168 for the next couple of weeks. It looks really bullish to me. It might pull back a little bit first towards 125 before this thing continues higher, so make sure you watch that. The weekly on Google looks bearish. I think it's going to be testing 130 to 131 very soon, and then we could see some buyers step in there. But watch that area. We might see some buyers try to defend Google around 131, so watch that very carefully. For Amazon on the weekly, we're kind of flat right now. Watch it back test 145 and 143 and see if we bounce from there. Make sure you watch that level very carefully. And for Meta, we're also looking kind of weak on the weekly. I think I could see a small retracement towards 320. If that fails us, then this support right here around this like 315 areas next. So watch 320. We might back test it again, and we'll see if this thing bounces. But some tech stocks could slow down a bit, which may cause the Nasdaq to become flat. But the Nasdaq's looking a little weaker, but SPY is still holding up nicely. There's no sign of this thing getting like a big drop. Could we get a small, tiny pullback? Sure. If we fail to break 460 immediately, we could see a little retracement. So make sure you watch those levels on SPY. Don't forget to watch them very carefully, and we'll see how this thing ends up going from there. It's going to be very important to watch. All right. So I still anticipate that both of these are the most likely possibilities. Either we just shoot past 460 and start pushing up higher, or we kind of reject off of it at first, kind of pull back a tiny bit, a tiny little one, before we just continue higher. I'm not seeing a big pullback like this yet. And until we get some bad data, bad piece of news, bad catalyst, we don't have it yet. So don't assume it's going to happen. Don't assume we break until we start testing support and we get the bad news. So be patient. With that being said, guys, let me switch over to Tesla. Tesla's holding up nicely. Make sure you watch support and resistance. For specific levels, I think that we could backtest our support at 235 and bounce. If we do bounce, watch it try to push up higher. We have an imbalance to fill at 245, so I think it's going to try to get above 242 and then 245. I think there's upside potential for Tesla, so make sure you watch it very, very carefully. Tesla's continuing to uptrend, making higher highs and higher lows. My mind could change if there's bad news and Tesla loses 230. As of right now, we haven't done that, so the odds favor the upside for Tesla. So watch it very carefully for the week, guys. That's what I have for this one. Have an absolutely spectacular Sunday. Enjoy some football. Do what you have to do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and peace out.